welcome to SaaS Leaders Lounge, your premier podcast for insights into the tech world. I'm your host, Ramon, and today we have Akshat Prakash, the visionary founder, co-founder, and CTO of Camb.ai joining us. Akshat's experience expands from Apple AI to Carnage Melon, and now he's breaking new ground in language localization with Camb.ai. Stay tuned as we dive deep into how Akshat and his team are revolutionizing the locational industry with cutting-edge AI technology. Akshat, it's a pleasure to have you with us today. Where are you joining us from?
Yeah, hey Ramon, thanks for having me on. I'm currently in Dubai, but as we were chatting about, it's I'm kind of living on a plane right now with a lot of exciting things happening at camp.
Excited, I must say. But to dive straight into it, are you able to share the journey that led you to co-found Camb.ai, and how has your experience with companies like Apple and Carnage Melon influenced your approach?
Yeah, so I grew up in many different places in the world, and I was fortunate to have parents that could take me to many different places, just of course out of their own work. I grew up in Ireland for a bit, the US for a bit, different parts of India for a bit. And that really shaped my at least cultural awareness of diversity around the world. I have lived in places where I had to wait 8 hours to get water. At the same time, I could kind of have everything at the click of a button. So
Yeah.
I've been very fortunate to have that kind of an upbringing, which gave me a sense of how um, unequal the world is in terms of opportunity and access. And of course, I'm not a native English speaker. I grew up speaking Hindi, so I kind of have firsthand experience into, I guess, like what language barriers actually mean, and not just it meaning as not being able to communicate with one another properly, but the kind of
Yeah.
like perceptual inequity and bias that comes in with it. So yeah, I grew up as a student of computer science. I always loved to hack and create new things and solve problems. And Carnegie Mellon, where I went to university and did my degree in comp sci and artificial intelligence, was quite an enriching experience because I got to learn, of course, everything from the fundamentals of computer science to stuff that I also really loved, which was speech and language. At Apple, I was working on a team that, in hindsight now, was actually building one of the first systems like a chat GPT like system, but within Siri, to
Yeah.
basically transform search into question answering based. So these kinds of experience just helped me hone this eventual journey of Camb.ai into what it's become as one of the leading kind of speech research companies, translation companies today. And yeah, of course, in between, after Carnegie Mellon and Apple, I also started my first company that gave me a good idea of business and entrepreneurship. So that's kind of how my background has led me to create Camb.ai.
That's fascinating to hear how your life experiences have shaped your vision for Camp AI, and also integrating insights from industry giants into groundbreaking innovations in language localization. But are you able to discuss the latest innovation or feature introduced by Camp, and how does it enhance the content localization experience for your clients?
Yeah, so language localization and AI driven language localization is not new.
Yeah.
And real time AI dubbing or language translation has been essentially a pipe dream for 2 decades through academia, research, and even industry. Where Camb.ai stands out is we've literally, and no pun intended, actually broken the
Mm.
sound barrier, because of course we're research scientists at its core. We've developed models, Boli and Mars, specifically ground up to solve for language
Oh,
localization. But we've been able to kind of make it efficient and quality enough for applications towards live streaming, right? So if you might be aware, we became the first company in mankind to actually live stream a Major League Soccer game into multiple languages using our AI technology. And both from an engineering perspective and a research perspective, and even from an industry's perspective, it's a feat that hasn't been achieved before. So, of course, kudos goes to the amazing team here at Cam, but at the same time, the folks at Major League Soccer who've been one of the first to actually take a bet and see it really kind of work out, because now we are working with some of the biggest sports leagues across the planet to make this a global reality.
No, thank you for touching on that point. It's funny, my third question was actually touching on the Major League Soccer kind of achievement that you did. So I'll skip to that question straight away just so we can fulfill that answer. I saw on your LinkedIn it mentioned the groundbreaking achievement. How did this partnership develop and what does it signify for Cam's future projects? Got there.
Yeah, for sure. So we essentially started out about a year and a half ago, and a lot of the effort was focused towards core R&D, so developing Boli, our language translation model, and Mars, our expressive performance transfer engine or speech engine. And I think it's more in the last 6 months when we really started to hit the market. We started working with YouTube creators, podcasters, a few enterprises, and that kind of developed into our introduction to Major League Soccer.
Yeah,
Because our technology is quite advanced and one of the best performing in the world today, we are able to cater to sports content and dubbing sports content, which is actually really hard to do because sports has every element to it. It has a lot of excitement to it. It has a lot
yeah,
of lingo to it. A lot of the audience, really action packed and fast paced. So it really takes kind of this foundational thinking and first principle thinking and ground up development to be able to cater to um, live translating something like sports. And folks like Major League Soccer, they well understood our capabilities and what we can do even in live context. Shortly before Major League Soccer, we'd actually worked with the Australian Open, which again was a groundbreaking feat and not something that had happened before. But the Australian Open, they had used us for broadcasting their post match interviews into multiple languages like Spanish, Mandarin, and more. Um, and so if you heard of like Novak Djokovic speaking in Spanish, that was like a mini viral moment that Camb.ai and the Australian Open had created. So it was kind of like these
yeah.
successive build-ups, a lot of R&D work, and a small, I mean, small triumphs on the way that led to kind of the eventual deal. And of course, there's much left to do as we go forward. It was just maybe just the starting point of what we can do.
I agree. I think it's impressive how you've leveraged such a significant partnership to propel your company's growth. Overall, the milestone speaks volumes about the potential future endeavors. You touched on it as well in terms of language translation. I also noticed in your recent post about the film Free being the first Arabic film dubbed by Camb.ai. How did this project come about, and what are the challenges you faced in this execution?
Yeah, for sure. So, three was another exciting project that we had the awesome opportunity to work on, and it's been quite unheard of having AI applied to really really high production movies and films in the context that we're working in. And especially
Yeah,
there's been, to our knowledge, nothing else that has flown close to the sun in a manner of actually taking a full horror film, so not just any other, plain drama, but as a psychological thriller, taking that type of performance from a complex language like Arabic into another complex language like Mandarin. And this project's outcome was so real that until 2 3 weeks ago, you could actually cut a ticket for it and watch the Mandarin dub in theaters yourself.
wow.
So one of the real things that distinguishes our work and Cambia as a company is the amount of real world gratification we've shown on the basis of our tech, and kind of that in people's minds should in a sense work backwards, because if we're actually producing things where you can actually look, touch, and feel, and you wouldn't even know that it's maybe an AI doing it, but can experience it
Yeah,
at such a scale. Then backwards, it kind of talks a lot about the speed at which we can do execution, the quality at which we can do execution, and the types of partnerships that we're creating. But again, huge shout out to all these amazing partners that have given us this opportunity and kind of being the trailblazers, because it really takes two to tango. Us just working in our labs can't really achieve anything versus also some of these tremendous partners like Major League Soccer, Neila Al-Khaja, the director and producer of the film Tree, who've all taken a bet and then actually seen it come to fruition.
Yeah, I think it's enlightening. The speed and execution, it definitely challenges the success in dubbing. Free, it highlights your dedication to kind of breaking these language barriers and even having those real life elements being solved. It allows you to kind of do your work more passionately as well. So definitely, a great point you've made. AI and localization sometimes sparks debates around cultural sensitivity and the preservation of original content. What's your stance on these concerns and how does CAM navigate them?
Yeah, it's a quite interesting question. I think first of all, one thing I would like to clarify is that, especially in the context of the localization and dubbing industry, the demand is so high right now and has historically been that exclusively being able to manage this through manual means is impossible, just given the scale and desire. So Camb.ai doesn't position itself as in like taking away jobs from voice actors or dubbing artists by any means. It's more about allowing companies additionally to fulfill an unmet demand and making artists more capable to be able to do more at scale. In that, what we have discovered is that we of course keep manual dubbing artists and voice actors on a certain pedestal in what they're able to achieve, but at the same time, in working with real manual dubbing companies, movie production houses, sports leagues who might have attempted to do localization manually, we realize that it's not also black and white. So if you take the context of, let's say, a rap song, which you want to take in from British English to Tagalog, there will be a lot of slang and lingo that
Yeah,
maybe perhaps a person does not have full cultural understanding of, right? However, something like Boli, which is trained on millions and billions of data points, has actually a broader cultural awareness and knowledge of certain concepts. So we've actually seen in the context of really hard use cases like transforming rap songs into other languages that our technology actually enhances the ability for a translator or a manual dubbing artist to interpret meaning in these scenarios and actually more effectively transfer it into their own native language. So we're not any different in concept to AI and how humans should work with it across any field. We are showing the same ratification that with immensely transformative artificial intelligence, it's just kind of adding to the ease and capability of what artists would be doing and the time they can
yeah.
get it done in. Hopefully that lends a picture to how we perceive understandability, perception, and kind of the actual nuance between languages and what position we're taking in the market.
Yeah, it's definitely reassuring to hear how seriously you are taking it. I think cultural sensitivity and also content preservation, balancing innovation with respect to the original material. And you also touched on my next question, which was all about kind of ethical implications and how your technologies are kind of responsibly not perpetrating biases, which I think is very important in that area. Looking ahead to the future, where do you see the intersection of AI and also content localization heading in the next decade? And what role will CAM play in this future?
Yeah, so it's actually not. We don't have to wait a decade. I think in the next few months, when we have another podcast, me and you, we would be able to
Yeah.
do a podcast where I could be speaking in Hindi, and you could be speaking English, and I would be giving the podcast in Hindi, but in real time, other people would be hearing it in 180 languages and even more. So that future is not very far. I would expect within the next year, companies like Camb.ai to make this a true reality. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, we definitely place ourselves in a certain position with respect to being able to do this real time and high quality. But I think just the general elevation of AI as a whole is headed towards making these realities come true much sooner than a few years. So we're talking about months. So everything from that to watching your favorite film in your favorite language to at scale teaching hundreds of students across different languages is all going to be a reality, and I'm quite excited to live in that future, and I'm even more proud of our team that has decided to take this kind of place
Yeah.
to own pushing these barriers and actually making such a reality come true. So when I wake out of bed, it's very exciting for me to know that we are playing a significant role towards such a reality, and that our work might mean that for the future, which is actually what
I agree.
keeps us motivated and pushing.
Definitely keeps us ticking. I think your vision for the future is inspiring. Cam's definitely going to play a proactive role in shaping the next decade. It would be lovely if we had another podcast where we could also share it to more destinations across the world, such as doing it in Hindu, as you mentioned. That would be
Yeah.
exceptional.
No, I was just gonna say, even in this podcast, we could include ourselves talking in multiple languages after the fact and include a short snippet if you want to
Yeah,
show that to the viewers.
let's do it. Let's do it. We'll discuss it after the podcast, how we'll go about it. But I think that would be excellent to provide that example. And I
Yeah,
think our listeners will be blown away as well by it.
hey, yeah,
Brilliant. I think we're already onto it, but let's pivot to more of a lighter segment to learn more about you beyond your personal achievements. So we have a quick fire round. Are you ready to begin?
sure, let's go for it.
Let's go. So would you prefer to never have to work again or love your work so much that you never want to retire?
I think I would like the latter. I'm a huge cricket fan, and Sachin Tendulkar, the best cricket player, he's often said this, that I chose to work really, really hard in my life so that work would feel like play, and I can just keep playing. And he literally does that. So I want a life where my work feels like play, and it truly does. And it's a privilege to be
Yeah,
doing what I do every day.
that's a beautiful answer, I must say. Do you prefer to be the best player on a losing team or the worst player on a winning team?
That's an interesting question. I want my team to win, no matter what. Uh, I'm
Definitely.
I'm a firm believer in the Mamba mentality, and I absolutely love Kobe Bryant's teachings, and that's what we spread all across the team to just become the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
Um, I would like to answer it in a way to say that I would always prefer to be not the smartest person in a room, so that I could always learn more from more people. And I'd always want my
Hmm.
team to win, whether I'm the best player on it or I'm the worst. I would
Yeah.
always try to make my team win, no matter what, and that's what counts. Whether you're the worst or best in any place.
That's a great way to put it. I must say, I myself, I'm a Tottenham fan, so I've followed Harry Kane for his whole career, and he's probably been in the worst team and he's never won anything. But now he's joined a great team such as Bayern Munich. I'm not sure if you're aware of the Giants
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Germany. He's probably
yeah.
not the best player, but he's got a higher
Wins.
chance of winning.
Yeah.
Yeah, so makes perfect sense. On to our next one. Would you prefer to have free Wi-Fi wherever you go, or have free coffee whenever you want?
I'd take an interesting answer to that. Being a machine learning scientist, I'd prefer having free GPUs if I could make a wish. But free Wi-Fi is good enough. I'm not a huge coffee fan.
That's a great answer, I must say. I'm not into coffee that much myself as well, so I think I'll be on the Wi-Fi side. But
Yeah.
similar type of question. Would you prefer to have unlimited battery life on all your devices or have free Wi-Fi wherever you go?
Oh, okay. Battery would probably better because I don't know what's happened to both my phone and laptop. I just charge them in a few hours, they're done, and it's quite annoying. Uh, I know I
Oh,
can
yeah,
get
right.
some work done without Wi-Fi as well. So yeah, good battery would be better.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I agree. And nowadays you can get Wi-Fi most places as well. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
true.
guess it's
I
the
can head
future we're
into
in.
a McDonald's, but you can't buy power.
Exactly that. Last question. Would you prefer to own a private island or a private jet?
Uh, I think I'm gonna say a private jet, and I don't want to sound like on a high horse here, but I've heard a lot of people say that it has actually high utility in terms of saving time. And like I told you, with things getting super busy, I'm living on a plane almost. I feel like if I can get to places faster, I can save a lot of time and get a lot of work done. It's not because I need the luxury of anything. I don't really care. I'm talking to you on my sofa, just chilling. That's not where my mind is. But anything that helps me get more time in my life is huge, and probably a jet would be a good thing to do that.
I agree with yourself. I'm on that side as well. I'm not really a person that likes being on my own. I like to have a lot of people around me and also like different experiences. So I think you can get that with a jet rather than having your private island, which a lot of work probably needs to be done as well. Um,
Yeah.
we've got a question from the previous guest. We like to keep a collaborative nature. We previously had a gentleman called Heo Sheng from a company called Chat Simple, and his question to you would be: if you had $1 billion, what company would you invest in?
If I had $1 billion, which company I would invest in? I would have said Nvidia, for sure, because I can and this comes from I'm assuming I cannot say Cam because that would be too boring of an answer and obvious.
I was expecting
Uh,
that, to be honest, but I've got my notepad down and what I should invest in next from what you're going to say.
yeah, I mean, of course, it would be my company first, but I made the assumption that I can't choose Cam. Any other company would be, I would have said Nvidia, but anybody working on the hardware level of stuff today would be a good place to invest your money in as practical advice. Again, I don't want to give any financial advice. If it was just a friend asking me that, hey, what's a company you'd bet on? I'd be like, anybody doing anything with GPUs would probably be the scope of companies you want to start looking at.
I
Nvidia has
agree.
gotten a little too pricey to invest in, so competitors to them otherwise would be good bets. But again, not financial advice. Please don't quote me in that. You should invest in Cam though, because we are raising and we're creating something very special.
Brilliant. I've noted that down in video and also Cam. So hopefully my listeners hear that and the stock prices will go up if you ever do go on the market, definitely. Ultimately, thank you so much for your time today, Akshat.
Thank
This
you.
was the final episode of our AI series. Definitely ended with a bang. So again, thank you for your presence and joining us today to share your journey, insights, and the exciting advancements of Cam AI. It's been a great and enjoyable discussion. To our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe to SaaS Leaders Lounge on your favorite podcast platform. I'll be sure to put all of the details of Cam and also Akshat's LinkedIn in the bio so you can reach out to them if possible. But yeah, thank you so much. Please join for our next episode so you don't miss out on the wisdom our next guests have to share. Until next time, keep pushing the boundaries of innovation and leadership in SaaS. Goodbye for now. Take care, Akshat.
See ya.
Thanks.